So I don't really like doing video blogs too much. And I try not to fill my channel with ones. But I know I got a lot of Marilyn Manson followers because of the old videos I posted. And yesterday, Daisy Berkowitz passed away from cancer, unfortunately. I think yesterday afternoon. He's had cancer for quite a while. I've talked to him a few times, and in a weird way, I know a band that I know a friend of a friend that knows him, kind of, without talking about the people I know. But I got to talk to him a few times, and he was a nice guy, and I donated to his GoFund when he needed money for his cancer. So I'll try to explain. See, a lot of people didn't know he had cancer or that he was sick. Daisy he wasn't a Hollywood type of person. He's not like Manson. He didn't need that type of attention. You know what I mean? So he hasn't been in the limelight. He didn't need to be like that. But he was the co-founder of Manson. If it wasn't for Daisy, Manson wouldn't exist, really. Daisy did the drums and the guitars and helped, with writing some of the first songs. And then they slowly started adding members to the group. Now, one thing that kind of bothered me is Manson made a statement that said everybody should play the song "Man That You Fear Today" in honor of Daisy because that was Daisy's favorite song. That wasn't Daisy's favorite song as far as I know. Like I said, I don't know. I didn't know the guy personally. I just talked to him a few times. He did like "Man That You Fear," but he didn't hate, but he didn't like Antichrist Superstar. That album he only did 5 songs on, and that album he kind of got muscled out of the group, and that was when the Spooky Kids turned into just Marilyn Manson. So if you do want to play a song in his honor, songs that he said he liked a lot from Antichrist Superstar was, he said he was really proud of Worm Boy. That was a song that he liked because there was so many. If you listen to that song, there's so many different layers of instruments and shit on that song. It's pretty fucking awesome. But yeah, he did like "Man That You Fear," and he liked how "Tourniquet" was the single and how successful that was. But the older songs he really liked was like "Thrift" and "Suicide Snowman." He talked about those 2 songs a real lot. That he really wanted those to be on a official album, and they never were. So, I mean, if you're into playing songs and stuff like that to honor someone, those would be the songs to put on repeat. I still listen to all that old music like weekly anyway, so But people that have been out of the loop and not really following what's been going on with him, I can kind of give you a rundown just from what I remember. So, he got diagnosed with cancer about 4 years ago. I believe it was colon cancer. And before that, he said he had been having abdominal pains for quite some time before that. So, he was living in Florida. Then he moved to New York, and when he moved to New York, that's when he had found out he had cancer. So he had been doing his treatments in New York, and they had a machine that installed a chemo pump into his body. This chemo pump was like I guess over time it was like a drip that dripped the chemo into, I might be wrong on this, but I think his liver. I think. So he had this pump in for like over a year. I guess they had just taken it out recently. because he made his last post a few days ago. And again, like, if you're subscribed to my channel and you're not a Manson fan, because I have a lot of stuff on my channel, it's just a mixture of stuff. I know this might be boring to you if you're not a Manson fan, but one of his last posts. First off, this was October 16th, so this was a week ago. First off, I want to thank from the bottom of my heart all my donors everywhere ever since I started requesting donations. Unfortunately, I have to say I'm not doing well. I'm running out of options, and that means running out of time. My latest chemo, which I stopped 2 months ago, has done nothing but severely lower my hemoglobin. I always say that word wrong. Making me very weak. And the tumors in my liver have grown to the point of putting pressure on my bile ducts, causing jaundice. I've come back from this particular situation before, so I know I can do it again. I have a great and positive network of friends and caregivers, and simply need help with mundane things like phone bills, transportation, shipping, and other non-medical expenses. I feel your love and support. Thank you. So that was the last message that he posted, and then he had passed away yesterday. So he had the pump removed not too long ago. It didn't work. It kind of made things worse. With cancer, it's kind of an on and off thing. You get really bad, and then you have a miracle and you spring back to recovery, and then it gets bad again. It comes and goes, and then you either recover and you beat it in the end, or one of the times that you get really sick is the last time you get sick and you don't beat it. So he didn't make it through this last time, which really sucks. But he had said from the chemo that there was things going wrong, like his fingers were going numb and he couldn't play the guitar. But he did do a few shows, performing spooky kid shows with other people. He did a lot of solo shows, if you can find them and look them up, where he played piano, which is really cool. I mean, the dude was a musical fucking genius. Like, his talents went so much farther than just Marilyn Manson. He did a whole concert where he just did, piano and singing. His singing wasn't the best, but it was still cool to see him play those old songs and sing to them. So the guy had many fucking talents, you know what I'm saying? So, the past year, he had moved out of New York. Actually, the past few months, he had moved out of New York and then back down to Florida, and he had been auctioning off a lot of his stuff, and he had also been autographing rare stuff for people. Like, he had a P.O. box that, like, if you sent him something, he was kind enough to autograph it and send it back to you. Because I think he knew that, his time was pretty much limited. So, I always liked him because he really he stayed connected to the fans, and there is so much info that was missing over the years about the 90s of that music that they did, and he was the only person that would clarify it all, because Manson sure as fuck isn't gonna do it. So there was so much interesting shit from the early 90s that he would talk about. Like, I have a whole 2 terabyte USB drive of just rare stuff, like interviews and all types of stuff, pictures and stuff from that era, just information that I collected. So the other thing I was gonna post was this was one of the times I asked him a question about ministry, because Manson, they had 3 songs that were almost identical to Ministry songs. And anybody that's a little bit older, like in their 30s, will know that Manson and Nine Inch Nails kind of copied Ministry in a sense. So I had asked him about that because I know somebody in Ministry, and he was nice enough to answer the question about it, and he said he was a fan. And I talked to Zimzum once before too, and asked him about Ministry, and he also said as well that Ministry was a influence on them growing up. So that was pretty nice. So yeah, he it's unfortunate he passed away from cancer yesterday. So, and another thing that happened was Rolling Stones had posted an article about it, and it said Daisy Berkowitz passed away, but they posted a picture of Zimzum, which kind of sucked because that kind of scared the people that knew Zimzum, you know what I mean, like his family and friends. So the cool thing is the fans like bombarded Rolling Stone saying, that's not Daisy, that's Zimzum. So I guess they have corrected it since then. So if anybody thinks Zimzum died, he didn't die. Yeah, it was Daisy that passed away. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. I was just playing video games with my friend for the past 4 hours, and we were screaming at the TV. But yeah, it was definitely a shitty loss. I had just found a new stack of old Manson posters from my old bedroom at my old house that I just brought over. And I made another video for it, but I haven't posted it yet because I started rehanging all the old Spooky Kids posters up and stuff. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't really have too much more info that comes to mind. I just know, he's been fighting cancer for 4 years, and he was having problems before that, and he was in New York and then went back to Florida, and I guess things just kind of got worse from then on. And he auctioned off some really neat stuff, personal belongings. He got rid of a few of his guitars. I should have bought the one. I kind of kicked myself in the ass for not getting it. And he auctioned off a lunchbox, and it had a bunch of rare stuff in it, like old flyers and stuff. And I could talk about this stuff all day, but I don't have that much more interesting things to say. If you do the research, you can look back on his past posts. He has his own personal Facebook page, which was under his real name, Scott, and then he had a separate page for Daisy. So that was pretty much that. So rest in peace to him. I just had 4 friends die in the past month. So for me, death, I could deal with it a little bit easier, because when you don't know a lot of people that died and a celebrity dies that you really grew up on and stuff, sometimes that can really fuck people up. But when you know a lot of real personal friends that have died, a lot of them, the celebrity deaths, you could deal with them a little bit more, because you realize you didn't really know the person. You know what I mean? You felt like you knew him, but you didn't. Even though I talked to the guy a few times, but it's not like we ever hung out or anything. But yeah, hopefully his prayers to his family and stuff. So I don't know if anybody has any questions or something you can ask me.